Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we are talking about a fanfiction called Jason Todd, the Queen of the Infinite Realms. This takes place, it starts with, we get kind of a summary of it, of what happened after Jason died and the whole Joker and explosion thing, right? In the Infinite Realms, found by Danny, one thing leads to another. He's queen, right? Relationship with queen. He has kids now, right? Which is Bosley, Dan, and Danny. He loves them. And he, as his job as queen of the Infinite Realms, he's doing this whole mission thing, right? Because he'd do anything for Danny. And so when Danny asked him to go to the mortal realm to investigate, because one of them's clearly a detective and the other's not, but to investigate a leakage of ectoplasm, corrupt, but still, it's a leakage and it's kind of messing with things and corrupting people, living and the dead. So he's like, yeah, this is his job as quits. Of course I'll go, right? And then surprise, it's the League of Assassins. Of course it is. So he literally he wakes up because they had dunked his body in already. So and he's asked, Roz asks him do you remember anything, what's the last thing you remember? And he lies, obviously. He's not gonna, no, the explosion, I'm so angry, oh no, right? He's not gonna say that, right? And then he's kind of introduced to Damian, and he sees so much of Dan in him, and he's like, this is the sweetest, saddest thing ever. Because you know he's being trained to be in this a weapon, and that's sad because he's a child. So throughout the years of him, being there, him and Damian get very close, especially since they kind of go on missions together. And so Damian knows his secret of not the entire thing, but knows that he clearly has powers. But he never asks because he's been taught don't ask questions, obviously. So he never asks or anything, but he never says anything to anyone else because to him, Jason is safety, and that is his dad. So he's not gonna say anything. And Jason's already he's already adopted him. He's like, I can't wait to take you home back to our Afraid, in the Infinite Realms. You go meet your siblings. He's already planning things. This is great. But throughout the years of being there, they get close, and he's been silently kind of taking out the League from the inside, because it's his job as queen. He's like, my job, take out any threats. And over time, the pool has been getting smaller, right? Because it's being purified, and so goodbye. And so because of that, because the League are constantly around it, that is basically kind of their life force. So now they're kind of getting weak from it, which unfortunately has a side effect of Damian getting weak from it, especially since he's a hell of a lot more liminal than everyone else there. So it's why he can feel, even though he doesn't really understand it, he can feel the emotions coming off of people and to do little chirps, right? Even though he doesn't understand it, again, doesn't question it either. Especially since, he only really does it around Jason, and Jason understands him perfectly fine, so who cares? But because of that, Damian also is getting weaker. But he's like, it's fine. He has a half-baked plan. It'll be all good. Especially since with him being around Damian so much, his own core is cleansing Damian's and feeding his own ectoplasm into him. So he has fresh ectoplasm to pull from. So he's getting better. It's just he can't be around the pool anymore, or else things won't turn out great. But this is where Damian has to make the trip to Gotham to see Bruce alone. So, and Jason is like, I volunteer tribute, right? He's like, I'll escort him there, right? And he kind of worms his way into it because obviously didn't want that at first. Damian has to do this alone, and if he can't survive, well then he, was useless. But he's like, no, I'm not going to help. Like, I was going there anyway. So obviously, because for his whole revenge thing, he doesn't really care about that. But he was also going there anyway because to check on the alley, but still, he wasn't really going there for Bruce or anyone else. So they end up getting dropped off like in the middle of the desert, and Damian, who this entire fanfic calls Jason Baba, I love it. But Damian immediately, because like the servants and mother are gone, like, can't you just fly? Because again, he knows about powers, just doesn't say anything. So they just fly invisibly the entire way there. It's like cheating, more like using your resources. And so on the way, Damian falls asleep, and that's when he calls on, Jason makes a phone call to Danny to check up on the kids and check up on how everything's going over there and give him updates on how everything's going, especially with the league. He needs to be taken out. So, but they end up getting there, and Jason's he's nervous because, being faced with everything, Bruce isn't really, like, he's like the last person he wants to see. I shouldn't even say that. He doesn't want to see him at all. Like, he's completely fine, never seeing him, right? But he did miss Alfred. And so when he gets there, it's a shock to just kind of knock on the door. And then, Alfred's like, holy shit. What? And so, again, feeling the emotions. And Alfred kind of, like, responds too, but kind of like Damian. Because, Damian is... Damian doesn't question it because Jason, someone he trusts, and it's like, whatever, right? But for Alfred, it's like unconsciously he's doing it. So he's not really aware of it either, that he's doing it. It's just like, Damian might be somewhat aware, but like the chirping thing, obviously I wouldn't be aware of that, but he doesn't question it. The whole feeling emotion, like projecting his emotions, I don't know if he's really aware of that, but Alfred is like unaware of him projecting his emotions and responding to Jason projecting his, and responding, trying to almost ease and calm Jason. He's like unaware of it, and so because he's kind of liminal too, just not like as much as Damian and like Jason, because obviously dead, and grew up around the pools, corrupted, but still. Alfred is like over the moon, beyond happy, obviously, that he's, alive, and surprised because, hello. Didn't expect it, but also he showed up with a kid. Who was this kid? But he does express, like, regret. He's like, he's apologetic, like, that they couldn't save him. And Jason obviously doesn't really hold any ill will towards Alfred. He missed him. Of course, why wouldn't he? Right? And so he doesn't, like, he's not mad at him. The only one he's really mad at is Bruce, right? And he's got, like, some almost complicated feelings towards Dick. He's not mad at Dick, but it is like, remember when I thought you didn't like me? Like, so it's a little, because he was having that whole fight, and then Jason just had a, unfortunate of, like, being caught up in between it. So when it really wasn't about him, but Dick obviously he regrets that, obviously. But Alfred is, even though he's really happy, he does say, like, oh, I have to do like a DNA test, because, Jason is like, yeah, sure, like, he doesn't mind, because, like, that is kind of normal for all of them. It's like, it kind of has to be with everything they went through, but to do a DNA test to make sure, like, they are who they say they are, and they're not like anyone else or clones or whatever, right? And so when they finally meet, this entire time, Damian's still in his arms, right? He's carrying Damian. And they go to Bruce, like, his office. Bruce looks awful. He clearly, hasn't shaved. His hair's all over the place. He's not doing well, right? And so they're like, when he finally sees Jason, he's like, oh, hey, Dad. Like, he's like looking at him, it's like, oh my God, like, you're alive. And Damian is looking at Bruce. He's like, because again, he was told stories by both Talia and Jason. Talia obviously being like, he's this great detective, he's this, that, right? And Jason, obviously not really, like, I mean, he told stories of, Batman and everything, but not necessarily, like, to the same level Talia did of, like, to, like, build him up to, like, this, on this pedestal. He just told her, like, and he's a person. So, he, then, but then he looks at him, and he just looks him up and down, judgmental, and he's like, is this this pathetic person supposed to be my father? It's like, oh Jesus, okay. So honestly, like, that kind of brings attention to Damian. Wasn't paying attention at first, and it's like, oh yeah, surprise, you have a son. Like, you got someone pregnant, you have a son now. Congrats. And obviously that's like a lot to deal with in one night, because they showed up at nighttime, so they all get changed and ready for bed. And Damian he's uncomfortable immediately. He doesn't like the change. He doesn't like anything. And, he's projecting these emotions. And so Jason can feel this. And he's just uncomfortable. He doesn't want to be there. And, like, he even asks, like, do we have to stay here? It's like, not really if you don't want to, because he doesn't really plan to stay there. But it's like, if you don't want to stay there, it's like, because, to him, it's like, it's not safe. None of this is safe, right? Except for Jason. He's the only person that is safe in this moment. So he gets him as comfortable. He throws his shirt over him, like, as like a blanket, so he can finally fall asleep. And so when morning happens and it's like time for breakfast, they're holding hands, because, like, Damian just refuses to let go. He doesn't, he's looking around, he's scanning everywhere, in case for, like, anything. And Jason, proud, because, like, he's keeping his guard up. Also a little, like, guilty and, like, damn, because he's a kid. And it's to see him, having his guard up like this, it's like, ooh, like, ready for an attack. It's like, all right, no kid should really have to, right? And so as they near the dining room, they hear, two voices. One obviously recognizing as Dick, the other not so much, but it's Tim. So they immediately hear, not really arguing, it's just Tim stating, like, he's like, they came out of nowhere, like, he's claiming, like, he's Jason, and, like, he brings a kid with him and saying that it's Bruce's. Like, they have to be, like, he has to be a clone. And it's like, Dick's like, it doesn't matter, like, he's back, and, like, they're not clones, like, it's fine. Like, and because Dick, much like it's happy, right? Much like Alfred, and a little guilty because, not so great relationship before. But he is, like, trying to calm Tim down, and Tim, being, never the paranoid, is, like, overthinking it. And Damian, and, like, over here, and Steven says, like, whoever that is an idiot. It's like, okay, it's not. So, but they end up going in, and Damian is, like, reluctant. He, like, almost, like, wants to hold Jason back just so they don't have to sit down. But because he doesn't want to go in there. He's like, ooh, these people, who are they? Well, he doesn't know Dick, but he's heard of Dick. No one doesn't know is Tim. But they end up sitting down, and of course he's as close as he can be, because he's the one anyone else next to him other than Jason. And so immediately, Dick is the one to kind of, because it's tense, he's the one to break the ice and be like, oh, so who's the little guy? It's like, Damian's ready to bite anyone who comes, like, don't touch me. I don't want a stranger touching me. So he's, like, looking at them. So, oh, it's Damian. It's like, he's from, the League. Like, he tries to get, like, almost, like, minimal information to them. Like, oh, Damian from, like, from League of Assassins, I got him out. Like, almost trying to give him, like, minimal information. Even though the night prior, I mean, still didn't give that much information. Hi, I'm alive. This is your kid. Like, that's not much. But, so he's, like, immediately, like, distrustful, though. As in, like, Damian doesn't trust anyone. Because he's heard of Dick, right? Who was the first Robin, then turned Nightwing, and how how skilled he is. He's teasing criminals and all this. And then, Batman being the great detective. And then Tim is like, who the hell are you? Who? But all he ends up really saying is like, oh, this is Damian, Todd's kid. He came with me to meet Bruce. Not really giving anything away, right? Not too much anyway. And then this is when Bruce comes in and he's like, I haven't actually met him yet. And he kind of looks over at Damian. Still the same, by the way. Looking real rough. But he looks over at Damian. Damian immediately is like, ugh. Hates it. He's leaning more into Jason. He's glaring at him like, don't touch me. Don't even look at me. He hates it immediately. And this is when Jason states, like, yeah, I'm making sure, I'm here to, like, make sure you're not gonna do anything. And it's, like, immediately, I mean, it was already tense. Now it's, like, even more. It's like, well, what do you think I'm going to do? It's like, I don't know. Have him dress up, like, as Robin, like, go exposing him to more, like of Gotham, like, trash things, which he's already an assassin. We don't need to expose him to, like, more things. He's a kid. All right, we don't need to expose him more just because he's already deaf. He definitely has issues. I don't know, trauma, but I mean, probably, but issues is definitely there. But he's like, I want to make sure you're not trying to do anything, like, clearly being like the barrier between both of them. But he goes on to say, like, I brought Damian here with me because, like, he knows the way of assassin, doesn't really know the way of the bats. So, but I'm here with me to, for a safe place. Kind of lying. I mean, is it kind of lying? I guess it's kind of a lie. It's not really it's not really what he's here for, but he's kind of hoping that, in Bruce's, in his grief, that he'll just kind of forget what he said last night of being like, congrats, this is your son. Oh my God. Like, forget about that. Didn't work. Kind of, hoping the DNA didn't go through. Didn't work. Because he knows Damian's his, like, well, that plan failed. He ends up asking, he's like, I know he's mine, like, why are you even, like, lying to me? So Jason kind of, doesn't answer first, but he looks over at Damian and he sees, like, he hasn't touched anything, his head's bowed, he has his eyes closed shut, and he's, like, clearly, like, about to cry, and he's, like, sending, like, his emotions, like, sending out distress signals, and so, like, of this, like, not liking the situation, not liking any of this, clearly about to hurt someone, and how he wants to leave. He doesn't feel safe. He just doesn't like any of this. Jason picking up on this, he's like, all right, well, time to go. But he responds being like, because he's mine, which isn't untrue. I mean, yeah, they've gotten so close. Like, he calls him Baba. I mean, like, clearly. And so, I mean, the first impression is Damian was like, who's this pathetic person? Like, he clearly, Jason feels like safety to him. So, of course, he clearly has more connection and really does see him as his dad, because why wouldn't he? It's been with him for how long now? How many years? We'll never know. But so he goes, he picks up Damian. He's like going to leave. And this is where Bruce is like, I mean, clearly you could see from like the state of him, like he wasn't doing great. And so he wasn't doing great then either in that moment. Like, he clearly was not thinking. I don't know, maybe a mixture of grief and like desperation, who knows. But he immediately gets up as well and reaches for Damian, and it's like, whoa, what are we doing, right? Jason obviously like kind of turns his body like so Damian isn't, he can't reach to him. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, what the fuck is happening right now? And Bruce is like demanding him to give him, because like that's his son by blood. I mean, because and Dick immediately means vaults over the table. He'll just stand between both of them, and he's like, okay, you need to chill out. Damian clearly is like, you're stressing him out, and he clearly wants to be Jason, like, you need to chill out. And Alfred comes in armed with a frying pan, being like, I will use this. I will wholeheartedly use this. And Tim's like trying to calm him off, like, okay, let's just calm down for a second. Like, the kid clearly is like doesn't, you're stressing him out. Let's do this peacefully. Doesn't work. He immediately lunges, and so it's like, oh, time to go. So he immediately, well, Alfred and Dick kind of deal with Bruce. Tim takes them like to the garden so they could get away from that and calm down, because he was already like, Damian already is like, he's stressed and he has his hands over his ears. It's too loud for him. He can't do it. And so as like they're in the guardian, as they're in the garden, Tim asks them, he's like, oh, are you really Jason? And he's like, yeah, because he knows like there are cameras everywhere, and like they have access to that, so they could just look in the cemetery where he dug himself out of his own grave. And it's like, you can just look at that. It's like, he might not have been like the most conscious then, but like still, it's like you can just look at that. It's like, this is like the most basic kind of thing, because I have access to like most cameras, like I would say all, like, and everywhere in Gotham. And Damian, of course, takes the time to say something snarky, being like, you're not very smart, are you? Okay, Damian, let's play a little nicer. Tim's obviously offended. He's like a kid calling him that, because it's like, what the fuck, right? So they're calming down, and Tim feels like just kind of looking at both of them, like their relationship, like he feels like almost like he's like intruding upon them, because like of how close they are, and clearly how connected they are to, and like important they are to each other. They decide, because Alfred and Dick come back, they decide to have like a little snack time out in the garden, all of them there, while Damian's kind of distracted from the attention by Jason's phone. And from Dick's face, because he's got like a bruise on his face, it's like, ooh, clearly Bruce did not go without a fight. And Bruce is like locked up in his room, right? He's banned from going near them for the time being, but he's like locked up in his room. Everything was confiscated from him, so he can't escape too. It's like, my man's on house arrest is what this is. He's room arrest, actually. So, they're there having a little snack time, calming down from everything. They're like, that went well. And so Damian is like, I'm unconvinced at that. Like, but what did he say? Pathetic? Well, he said pathetic, definitely, but it was strange. He's like, I'm unconvinced that strange and pathetic man is my father. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, and Jason, can't really help but laugh at that, because funny. But, then they kind of start talking about like, well, it's not about blood, right? Because it's the people who raise and are, because you might be related by blood to Bruce, but it's the people who raise and care for you and who are there for you are really family. But, Damian, with assassin background, obviously Ross taught him that blood means everything, doesn't really understand that. And Jason doesn't really, he's like, oh, that's right. And he doesn't really know how to tell him that, because obviously it'll take a while before he really, it sets in and he fully understands. But you gotta start somewhere. And so, Dick chimes in. It's like, your, grandfather isn't really the greatest man. He's not a good man. And Damian just looks at him, just doesn't say anything, just looks at him. And he's like, he's completely uninterested in the phone now. And he's like, Jason immediately is like, ooh, okay. So, but like, feels the emotions coming off of Damian that are wrong. Like, no, he's a liar. Like, he's wrong. But then there's also some doubt. He's like, but maybe he's right. Because obviously, him and Jason aren't related at all by blood. And yet he feels the safest when he's with Jason. He calls him his dad. Like, they very much have that type of relationship. He feels the safest when he's with them. He cares for him. Jason cares for him like he's his own son. So, maybe he is right. But then, I guess, again, everything, been taught in the assassin's like, no, he can't be, like, he has to be wrong. He's a liar. And so, unsurprisingly, he goes to attack. He goes to attack him, which Jason holds him back because, like, okay, we need to calm down for a second. And it's like, what your uncle means is that, you being here when, he, Bruce didn't know about it, just kind of makes him nervous because obviously he didn't know your existence. Now just kind of shown up out of nowhere with his previously dead son. So he can calm him down. It's like, ooh, we need to calm down a little bit. After he's calmed down, Dick does ask him, it's like, oh, are you going to stay in the manor? Which, Alfred's like, not the time to ask him that, but because, him and Damian have talked about it. But with Bruce kind of acting like that now, it's like, oh, don't know about that now. But even if Damian was, like, he wanted to stay in the manor, he wasn't going to because he wants his own place. Doesn't really want to be surrounded by any of that. And that's, when they offer up, like, oh, like, Tim, like, say, oh, Drake Manor is still, like, it's been on the market for a while. And, Jason has thought about that. Like, he could get Drake Manor, but too close to Bruce, and with him acting like this, like, oh, a little bit too risky. And, like, he also wants somewhere kind of closer to Crime Alley. So he's not really all that sure about it. But for the time being, they do decide to, like, stay at the manor just for, like, the time being. And probably not, well, it could be permanent, who knows. And that's where it kind of ends for now, because it's only 8 chapters, still ongoing, and it was updated. Is that recently? I get that's kind of recently, because it was the 27th is when it was updated, so that's kind of recently. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.